Hello everybody, welcome back to the Sarah Myers channel, and welcome to yet another rant video where someone complains about the abysmal state that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game is in as of the July 16th update. On July 16th, TCM received two major changes that have heavily impacted the family player base. Grandpa perks are now locked behind tiers, and players must dedicate more time to feeding Grandpa in order to get access to some of the only useful Grandpa perks in the game. When this change was announced, I actually discussed it in a video. If you guys are familiar with my content at all, you know that I'm not much of a Grandpa feeder. In fact, Grandpa stays at level 0 in almost every crazy fast-paced match that I have. In the first video that I made, I even implied that exterior alarms, one of the best benefits you can give yourself as family, can become a bit of a crutch that family teams over-rely on. However, there were a lot of consequences to the then proposed changes that I wasn't considering, since I was just giving my perspective based on my own personal team-based playstyle. I wasn't considering solo queue. The solo queue experience in TCM has been absolutely demolished by this recent update. And if you're wondering why victim queues are up to 20 minutes long all of a sudden, my personal theory is that a good portion of the solo queue family players have decided to either hop on victim or go play another game entirely. And I honestly don't blame them. In the past, my response to solo queue issues has always been make some friends and get a team, but what I failed to realize is that solo queue really makes up the backbone of the player base. And if those players disappear, then a lot of victims are going to be sitting in incredibly long lobbies. Ever since the July 16th update, victim lobbies have been absolutely atrocious. Even family lobbies are pretty bad if you don't have a 3-stack squad, which just makes for an awful gaming experience all around. Playing this game has felt like a chore for the past couple of days, and the biggest contributor to that for me has been the lobby experience. And where did all of the solo queue family players go? Why did they leave? Well, the answer to that lies in the changes that were implemented on July 16th. The reason why the Grandpa rework disproportionately affected solo queue family players is because some of the best Grandpa perks now require a significant amount of time to unlock. A solo queue family needs all the help that it can get, considering that most people play with no communication. When you're not verbally communicating, informational perks like exterior alarms can greatly improve your odds of winning a match. No One Escapes Hell can also give solo queue players more time to get to an objective and stop it from being opened, and time is very valuable when you don't have teammates that are feeding you necessary information. Both of these perks are locked behind feeding Grandpa to level 3, but in the current rush meta, it can be difficult to get Grandpa to even level 2 without someone being through an exit by the time you're wandering back to check an objective. Also, every competent player knows that the best Grandpa perks are locked behind levels 2 and 3, so victim players will just bring Agitator or Stab normally to get rid of any Grandpa perks that the family take time to unlock. And considering there's no real way to defend Grandpa without completely throwing the game, most players have decided to either not interact with him at all or to overcommit to feeding him. If you don't feed him at all, you're putting yourself at a severe disadvantage as a solo queue player that's trying to squeeze out a win on a team of people that aren't communicating with you. If you overcommit to feeding Grandpa, the victims are going to be running out the door by the time you even get your level 3 Grandpa perks online. Either way, solo queue has been severely impacted by this update in a way that I didn't consider when I originally talked about these patch notes before the update went live. And there's actually another change that I think is an even bigger problem than the Grandpa rework: turning off car battery with 50 proficiency. On July 16th, Gun implemented a fix that made it to where time required to turn off the car battery now scales with the amount of points that you dump into proficiency. This has allowed players with 50 proficiency to turn the car battery off in a measly 8 seconds. And considering how long some of these stuns are in this game, I'm sure you know exactly where I'm going with this. As a coordinated 4-stack victim squad, my team and I were absolutely demolishing family teams that weren't communicating by just pushing battery as a group and stunning any opposition that we were met with along the way. Without intense coordination, these family teams could not stop us. And it's very obvious when you're playing against a communicating family team as opposed to solo queue players that aren't talking to each other constantly. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to link a video in the description by a creator named PineappleMuseum who has published 2 videos where he does the exact same strategy that I just described, pushing battery as a coordinated 4-stack with 2 high proficiency characters. They do it every game, and in every game it's incredibly difficult to stop unless the family team has some kind of prophetic foresight and are able to group up a battery to defend against it. But most of the time it seems like they're probably going against a solo queue player that has no idea that they're about to be met with a completely unwinnable situation. Needless to say, I can completely understand why victim queues are so horrendous. If I was a solo queue family player, I definitely wouldn't be playing this game right now. Even as someone who has a dedicated group of people to play with, I kind of don't want to play this game right now either. You either have to play family, which isn't in a great state as it is with the battery changes, or you have to sit in victim queues and sometimes wait up to 20 minutes for a game. It's absolutely miserable. Now, a new Muerto Times released where Gun said that they were looking into Grandpa perk tuning and Grandpa perk levels. But I haven't seen them mention anything about the car battery changes, which I personally think is a much bigger issue. Not to mention, one of their community managers made a statement on Reddit that I thought was just absolutely egregious. Game balancing on a live service game is one of those interesting and fun things that changes and is fluid. I mean, maybe it's fun for you guys, but it's definitely not very fun when you make changes with no knowledge on how your player base actually plays the game that you're trying to balance. Please get a quality assurance team that actually understands how this game is played by high-level players. Gun might feel like fun little scientists tweaking things and seeing the results, but I'm starting to view them more like Victor Frankenstein, or Jack Kevorkian, considering that they're about to put this game to sleep. Okay, maybe that was kind of out of pocket, but they have to be faster with the fixes on this game, or just use a little bit of insight before they make sweeping changes like this. Because anyone who has dedicated any amount of time to this game would be able to tell you that the Grandpa rework was not going to actually encourage more interactivity with Grandpa. I genuinely think this might be one of the worst patches they've done since they released Annie, and that's mainly based on how long the queue times have gotten. This game has felt awful to play since the update. Wes Keltner, for the love of God, please help us. And I think that's my rant over with for the day. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I try not to make videos with a bunch of negative complaints about the game, because most of the time some other creator has already made a video articulating the issues much better than I can. But I honestly think that we need as much people as possible talking about this so that a change can be implemented soon. Hopefully we can turn this stuff around pretty fast if we get enough people talking about it. It's rough out here in Texas, y'all. I'll see you guys soon, and thank you for lending me your time while I complain about the video game. Goodbye.